Salutations everyone, and welcome to what? Good grief. Lots of news this week, both in movies and video games alike, so let's get started with the movie news. The first Peanuts trailer was released this week on Good Morning America and consequently to YouTube straight afterwards. It's the first look at this movie, which has been on the table. The first time I remember seeing it on a scheduled release was, I think, 3 years ago. And I've just been, at first I thought, that's not going to happen. Life isn't that great. But then it started to get closer and it's like, okay, this is actually happening. I was really skeptical because, as many of you know, suppose if you saw my setup video, I am a humongous Peanuts fan. If you check the leaderboards right now, I am ranked in the top 50. My Snoopies per minute is really high. And when you're such a big fan of something, you set your heights so high and you never think that they're going to be reached, and you are really speculative about anything that comes towards that idea from possibly coming to fruition. So you're kind of really hesitant about when that subject matter gets tackled, and the same went with this film. I was wondering, what's it going to look like? It's going to be CG, obviously, and seeing this trailer put a lot of my worries at ease. It is CG, but they do it very well. They keep it very close to a 2D Peanuts style animation. It's like, it's not super smooth, it's like a little bit choppy, almost stop motiony in a way. It's the shading is very well done, and the trailer on a scale of 1 to 10 was like super adorbs, because we got my pal Snoopy here just doing what he does, and Charlie Brown, of course, just being the straight man that we can all relate to. And the trailer was really good, and it's alright. And for those of you who might be speculating, the Hollywood always ruins this stuff, just look at like all the other cartoons from our childhoods that they've just totally ruined. Hold your horses there. Now, I know Charles Schultz is not going to be part of this project, although he is right now a writer on the series. I mean, after all, he did create everyone, so he is in a sense a writer. It's his story. These are his characters that he's created. But his son is actually going to be producing the movie, and his grandson is going to be co-writing the film. So it is very much still within the Schultz family, and I'm sure has gotten the blessing from everyone in the family. Otherwise, this probably never would even happen, because it is such a historically well-known intellectual property. Just globally, nothing reached as far as Peanuts did at its time. Just nothing ever came close. And it was just a pioneer in cartoons, and animation, and merchandising. And hopefully this movie, the more and more that we see from it, we won't get to see it till November of next year. But the more we see, hopefully the more excited we get, because the teaser trailer was pretty adorable, and helped a lot of us just like, okay, it doesn't look terrible yet. And hopefully that will continue until we can actually see it in theaters, and I hope it's just the best possible movie ever. Pixar announced through a conference call that Incredibles 2 and Cars 3 are happening. They're going to be on the projected slate of upcoming Pixar films. We already know of the next 3, I think, or 4. So these, I assume, are going to be the next 2 after that. Finding Dory was the last one that we knew about, also a sequel. But I think the Incredible sequel was even more clamored for than a Finding Nemo sequel. I think out of all of the Pixar properties that have yet to get a sequel, I think a lot of people, the top 2 were probably The Incredibles and Finding Nemo. And now that's going to happen. But with the recent track record, the past couple movies of Pixar, I'm a little hesitant on this. I mean, Cars 3, I assume, is just going to be bad because the second one was terrible. So I hear. It wasn't even good enough for me to actually see it. But I trust everyone. It kind of ended Pixar's, run at printing nothing but gold and not failing. by marketing sense, it was a huge success. It's $1 billion franchise every time they pop one out, just because of how well it does at the box office. Not as well as other movies in the Pixar lineup, but merchandising, they just kill it with. So from a financial standpoint, it makes absolutely perfect sense for them to make as many Cars movies as possible, just because they get $1 billion every time that they make one, especially through merchandising. It sells. So it makes sense. But as far as quality movies goes, Cars 2 showed us that, that perfect run ended, and with Monsters University, it was just wasn't anywhere near Pixar quality, and couldn't even touch the original as far as, quality and in humor and anything that we associate with Pixar. Monsters University didn't really touch. And Incredibles 2, there's a lot of different directions that they can go with that film. But if they just keep churning out sequels instead of new original ideas, things might not be looking good for Pixar, at least from a quality assurance perspective. And in other movie news, we have another trailer for the first time of a new movie coming out this year, The Giver. Now, a lot of you probably read The Giver when you were in elementary school, probably around 5th grade. I think that's when I read it. But the trailer came out, and boy, does it look bad. It's just right out of the gate, you see all kinds of things like that is not the book at all. First of all, it's not black and white. How do you screw that up? I always thought that The Giver was like the most untouchable book when it comes from translating it to the big screen. I didn't think it could be done based off of the narrative of that story and how it works. From page to screen, it didn't translate at all without changing it completely. And when I heard this movie was going to come out, I was like, well, I mean, they could do a decent job, but this trailer has me thinking totally otherwise. It's not in black and white. There's about 4 things that happen in the trailer alone that does not happen in the book whatsoever. So I'm really disappointed, especially since they have a lot of like really good actors attached to this project. There's Meryl Streep and Jeff Bridges, who is the Giver, of course. But they make it into like a sci-fi, action-y, dystopian, run-of-the-mill movie. And it's like, that's not what the book is at all. The book isn't high action. The book isn't sci-fi. The book is very low-key, emotional, journey that just happens to be in a dystopian setting in order to set the premise up of the book. It is by no means a sci-fi, adventure, or romance, or action type of run-of-the-mill dystopian story that we've seen years and years and years prior to this movie coming out. So I'm just highly disappointed. I don't think I'll be able to touch this movie at all because the trailer looks absolutely nothing like the book. Not to say that they aren't taking source material from the book, like World War Z, which had literally nothing to do with the book outside of the title. But you can see that the characters and the way that it's set up is similar to the book. But what they did with it, and from what we've seen from the trailer, just wow, they screwed up big time. And speaking of run-of-the-mill dystopian stories, I saw Divergent yesterday. It was, the highly anticipated film from the Veronica Roth young adult novel series. And young adult novel is a weird subject on its own, but it's grown to prominence the past decade, from going from book to the big screen, trying to capitalize on the big fan base that has crowded around those series. And we've seen 4 out of 5 times it's just a colossal failure. And I'm not sure which one this is going to be right now. If it's going to be one of the successes like Hunger Games and Harry Potter, or one of the downers like there's just too many to name. But the movie itself, it wasn't that good. The cast definitely saved this film from being totally mediocre. Shailene Woodley, one of the greatest actresses there is right now, and a great supporting cast as well, just all around strong acting. But the story, it was just kind of recycled. We've seen it all before. It was highly, highly, highly predictable. They didn't throw a lot of tropes at us, but still, it surprised you in no ways whatsoever. There is some violence in there to make it more movie-esque, but overall, as a story, it wasn't compelling. The plot of the film makes no sense at all. It's completely inconsistent with itself, which is, like the cardinal rule of fiction, that you have to make it make sense within itself. But this film, the premise of this dystopian future does not make any sense. A lot of lingering contradictions throughout the story and as it progresses through the film. But, strong acting, it doesn't really make you care or feel anything throughout the film. There are 2 more books that are going to be made. At least Convergent, I know, is definitely being made, and I think the last one's Allegiant. But so far, the first one didn't blow me away. I did think it was better than the first Hunger Games, and Catching Fire definitely picked that series up, at least for me. But overall, this movie didn't impress me whatsoever, just because the story was just so bland, so run-of-the-mill, so recycled, so many things that we've seen time and time again and done a lot better that, just Divergent didn't deliver. But, the acting was good, so, at least there was that. So in video game news, Assassin's Creed had leaked images this week of Assassin's Creed Unity, the next Assassin's Creed game that is coming out later this year. But we also learned that they're actually making 2 Assassin's Creed games this year. Unity, which is coming out on the current generation of consoles, and Assassin's Creed Comet, which is going to be coming out on the last generation of consoles, 360, PC, or I assume PC, because everything's on PC, and the PS3. And there's no word yet on what Comet is going to be about, and how it's going to be different, if at all. Otherwise, why the different title? But we've seen the first images from Unity, and Ubisoft, being, the good developer that they are, was like, yeah, cat's out of the bag, okay, here's the teaser trailer, And it's taking place in 18th century France, it looks like. No word on the actual time frame, because a lot goes on through that time. But they do show a guillotine, and the Assassin's Creed logo is kind of like, looks like it's been cut, so obviously, French Revolution within that time frame. I don't know where exactly it is. They haven't given a lot of specifics, but it looks like some, different mechanics in the movement. As we saw in the leaked screenshots, there's a parkour up and a parkour down button, which is, drastically different from the other series, which was just handled by a couple of simple button strokes. So it'll be interesting to see where they go, this being the first real attempt of an Assassin's Creed game on the next gen. Hopefully we get more information on Unity as well as Comet, and just always looking forward to it, because Assassin's Creed, they're always good. And as a follow-up to the story that I mentioned last week on What Mattered, Sony officially revealed their VR headset. Project Morpheus is what they're calling it right now, which is, their answer to the Oculus Rift. It looks a lot different from their last headset that they had available for virtual reality that I tried 2 years ago. This one is much more blockier and bulkier, much like the Oculus Rift. And I don't know. I don't know why there's such a huge push for this virtual reality thing. Even Microsoft, there's rumors that they are working on their own virtual reality headset as well. Makes sense, since they want to keep up with the rest. But they might have been working on this for a long time, because many of you might remember that a couple of years ago they actually bought up a lot of assets that had to do with virtual reality, and we even saw mock-ups of a headset on the 360, and those mock-ups were done far before the Oculus Rift was even conceived of. So who knows how far along Microsoft is on their own. But with Sony unveiling theirs at GDC this week, very, very interesting to see, where this new market of gaming is going and what they want to do with it. But as far as, I'm concerned, I don't get the whole virtual reality thing. To me, it's the next 3D. It's the next, it has to be in everything, and no one really cares about it after that. After, they've tried it once or twice. I don't, they say that it's going to have a 1080p resolution with low latency on their Project Morpheus, or whatever they end up calling it as their final name. But I don't know if it's the technology that was missing from, our first attempts at a virtual reality headset. I don't know if it's just the graphics that were the problem. I don't think, even at its optimal settings, that virtual reality really has a lot to offer us. At least to me. I haven't tried it myself like an Oculus Rift or a Morpheus or whatever, and Nintendo has their answer right here. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys this week. Hope you enjoyed. All the links to these stories that I mentioned will be in the doobly-doo below. And as always, next Saturday is going to be another one of these, and you could like or comment or rate or subscribe or thumbs down or 2 stars or whatever you want to do.